Beyond the buzzer, inside the game, this is SportsIQ with Larry Smith.
Hey, the holiday weekend is over. Back to work Monday. Hopefully, maybe you still got some vacation time you're burning or something. Anyway, you're spending some time with us, and we appreciate that. Larry Smith here, SportsIQ. We've got another great show coming up. We'll talk Atlanta Braves with our friend Chad Bishop of the AJC joining us here in just a couple of minutes. We've discussed with some other baseball insiders the Braves at that hot start have kind of cooled off. We'll get some commentary from somebody who's right there up close and personal there with Atlanta. Meanwhile, also, of course, a lot of buzz is about LeBron James leaving the Lakers. And as predicted, it's just become a social media frenzy. Even his agent posting whiteboard stuff online, and that's creating conspiracy theories. I know someone who is a Minnesota Timberwolves fan and thinks the T-Wolves are center in the conversation because they were center on the whiteboard, and I don't know. Anyway, Ben Royer is going to join us later to talk about the Lakers. We'll get deeper into that in a few minutes here later on here this hour. It's been 24 years since USA men's team made a World Cup quarterfinals. Tonight in Seattle, this year's squad has a chance to achieve that level as they take on Belgium in the round of 16. Of course, the contest is not without controversy. FIFA announcing on Sunday that USA star Folarin Balogun will be allowed to play in tonight's match despite getting a red card in the last USA contest. A source familiar with the matter telling CNN on Sunday that President Donald Trump had spoke with FIFA President Gianni Infantino this week after Balogun's red card and asked the FIFA leader to review the call. Well, on Sunday afternoon, soccer's governing body announced that it was using an obscure rule to suspend Balogun's automatic one-match ban for 1 year, allowing the striker to play against Belgium in the round of 16. And the International Governing Body's Disciplinary Committee elected to utilize Article 27 of its code that allows the judicial body to fully or partially suspend the implementation of an on-pitch disciplinary measure under a probationary period. USA Soccer, of course, expressed its agreement with the ruling, saying, "We accept the decision of the disciplinary committee and are pleased that Folarin Balogun is eligible to compete tomorrow." That's what they said in the statement. Continuing, our full attention is focused on the round of 16 match against Belgium in Seattle. We look forward to the continued support of our amazing fans. End quote. Well, as you can imagine, the Belgium Soccer Federation and UEFA, of which Belgium is a part of, did not see things in the same way. The Belgian Federation was, quote, astonished by FIFA's decision to suspend the ban for a period of 1 year, citing Article 27. The Royal Belgian Football Association said in a statement the move was in, quote, direct contradiction of the competition regulations. Instead, it is exploring all potential options. Now, sources briefed on the matter, speaking anonymously to protect relationships, have now told The Athletic the Federation has now formally written to FIFA to appeal the matter, and the right to appeal has been granted. Both U.S. Soccer and the Belgian Federation were asked to make submissions by 5 a.m. Pacific time on Monday morning, which has exasperated the Belgians who have not received the decision by FIFA to review, as it is not made public. Yesterday's decision to suspend a probationary period of a year, the implementation of the one-match automatic suspension following the red card issued to the player Folarin Balogun crossed a red line, is what they told to CNN Sports. Football, like any other sport, relies on rules, which are the basis for fair, honest, and transparent competition. Sometimes rules are open to interpretation. In this case, not. End quote. Either way, this should be an interesting day and night as we approach the start of the match in Seattle. Time now for today's moment of awe. And the Major League Baseball All-Star starter who was retired. It was 1989, and Mike Schmidt was already a baseball legend. His amazing career as a Philadelphia Phillies third baseman had netted him 12 All-Star Game appearances and 3 National League MVP awards. Schmidt was as prolific a power hitter as he was a top-shelf defender. He led the National League in home runs 8 times and won 10 Gold Gloves at the hot corner. But in May of 1989, as injuries began to take their toll, Captain Cool, as he was called, announced an emotional retirement. But it didn't matter to fans. On this day in 1989, they voted him to the National League's starting lineup in the All-Star game, even though he was retired. Schmidt opted not to return to action, but he did take part in the pregame ceremony. Mike Schmidt joining the legendary Willie Mays and King Griffey Jr. as the only major leaguers with 10 Gold Gloves and 500 career home runs and an All-Star in retirement. He gets our moment of awe.
You're listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Sports IQ, Larry Smith here on this Monday as we continue talking. We mentioned a moment ago about the Atlanta Braves. Hot start, but things have cooled off just a bit. And to get more on that, our friend Chad Bishop from the AJC joining us, Atlanta Journal-Constitution, joining us once again. Chad, good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for having me as always.
Yeah, absolutely. So these Atlanta Braves right now, first year without Brian Snitker, and hot start. And like we said, right now, still, not a bad team, but it's not where they were back in April.
Everything that could go right for this club did so, right? In March, April, May, clutch hitting, big-time pitching performances, what Martin Perez has done on the mound, what Dominic Smith and Mauricio Dubon have done at the plate. It seemed like all the bounces were going their way. No matter what was thrown at them, to their credit, they handled. June was awful. June was a terrible month, especially from an offensive side. Everybody sort of went in the slump at the same time. And interestingly enough, they saw it coming. Walt Weiss talked about it like there's going to be a tough stretch. We talked to Matt Olson and Chris Sale about it. Like every team goes through that. It's just a matter of getting out of it. And they've shown signs here recently to start July of kind of turning it around. The offense has picked it back up, and they got some reinforcements coming from the pitching staff. But while that happened, right, the Phillies climbed back in the race and are only 3 to 4 games out, depending on the day of the week. So now they're in an NL East race, going down to the wire, we expect. And it's going to make for a fun summer, I think.
And I think that's, let's face it, first off, it's not like that, again, the Braves are bad. They're sitting at the top division. It's just they were such a hot start. And I do want to mention very quickly about the Phillies. How about their start? They were the exact opposite. Terrible in April. They make the change. They switch managers, and all of a sudden they have found their mojo. And like you said, it's going to be at least a 2-team race here in the NL East.
And that's sort of, it's interesting being on the Atlanta side because, fans have panicked and the sky is falling because the Braves have had their bad June, and they forget how quickly the things churn. The Phillies were awful in April, had to fire their manager, and look at them now. And we knew the Phillies were going to be good. And a lot of us expected the Mets to turn it around, and that they have not, and they're not going to. They're the worst team in the division, and we've seen them recently, and they're a bad baseball team. But I thought Walt Weiss had a real interesting quote. It's not about the team you're playing, it's about when you're playing them. And a lot of these teams recently have beat up on the Braves because the Braves aren't playing well. The Padres, the Giants, the Mets took 2 or 3 in New York. The White Sox took a series from the Braves. So it's all about when you're playing your best. And the Braves certainly peaked very, very early, then went through that, valley, and now they're trying to climb back out of it. But to your point, still a good team, still in first place. They're going to be fine if they, get Ronald Acuna back. They got some pitching help on the way. Again, they're going to be in this race and still in really good shape to be a playoff team.
Take us inside this clubhouse here. They're at Truist Park, and it's your first year without Brian Snitker. Like you said, Walt Weiss has not come in. Look, Snit's been there forever. He was the first base coach during the glory years under Bobby Cox. He's literally a lifer with the organization, going back to the his playing days in the minors. And he was back in his 20s. What has it been like? What's the big change in that clubhouse now with Snitker being out and Walt Weiss coming in?
I think it's just a new voice, a different voice, and not to say that Brian Snitker wasn't uber competitive, right? Like all these guys are. But Walt Weiss maybe has a different mantra or a different way of going about things. Some of the nuanced things, right, is changing the lineup day to day, managing the bullpen a different way. Walt Weiss manages 9 out of 10 games to win, to go for the win like it's a playoff game, right? Again, not saying Brian Snitker didn't do these things, but it's just from my vantage point, what I've seen is bringing in your high leverage relievers maybe earlier than normal. Putting a lineup out there against a left-handed pitcher versus a right-handed pitcher, giving guys days off, moving guys up and down in the batting order. Little things like that. He's a fiery competitor. Doesn't maybe seem like it when you're talking to him, pretty low-key, but he's going for that win. And the players have really responded to that, especially with a veteran clubhouse. Like I said, with guys like Mauricio Dubon, Dominic Smith, Kyle Farmer's in there, Martin Perez, Chris Sale, Mike Yastrzemski, guys who have been around this game a long time and are very professional, competitive guys. They've sort of all responded to that. And I think that was a big reason why the Braves got off to that start and why they've continued to lead the NL East.
So kind of, it sounds like an old school, which I think Snitker would agree that he is, more versus kind of a new wave, new era way of management.
Yeah, it's a great mixture, right? I love that. Yeah, it's a good balance. Walt Weiss knows that. Like it's sort of this idea too, right? Of like we have all these numbers and all these analytics in the game of baseball. That stuff is great, but you have to, marriage that with the gut feelings, the feel, right, for the game. And Walt Weiss is that way. He's been in this game forever, definitely has some old school mentality, but uses a lot of that new school stuff as well in terms of managing pitch counts and pitchers and bullpens and lineups and understanding what the players are going through. So yeah, it's a great marriage between the two, and you can really see that on a day-to-day basis.
I'm going to date myself here. I still think of Walt Weiss as the player back when I was coming up and as a young shortstop. And so I know he's been a manager of the places before. Yeah. This is his first rodeo, but I still think of Walt Weiss, the kid coming up, and now he's managing people. Talking with Chad Bishop of the AJC. You've got this next week here before the All-Star break, finishing off at home tonight against the Mets, and then series at Pittsburgh and St. Louis. How important is it to not just win? Obviously, that's that's important, but just to be consistent here in this next week, going into the break and getting ready for the second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing this team wants to do is go through another down stretch here of 7 games until the All-Star break. They don't want to go 4-7, but or excuse me, 3-4. Right. If they go 4-3, 5-2, I mean, that's great. And even, I'll say this, even if this team was to lose the NL East lead going into the All-Star break, again, there's so many games left. There's 2 months of the season. The Braves have a lot of guys coming back from the injured list. They're going to be fine in the long run. But to your point, everybody wants to be playing well going into that break, and especially to sort of ease, the outside panic of, this team is trending in the right direction. So to have that winning record, the Mets, like we said, are not a good team. The Pirates are very competitive, and the Braves have already seen the Cardinals very competitive as well. So going on the road to finish out, will be tough. But again, if they can sort of, playing 500 would be great. Getting over that mark, these last 7 would be a bonus. And then they can sort of reset and start fresh going into the second half.
Yeah. Who's been maybe the big surprise? We talked about, again, kind of things not going so well. Everything went perfectly the first month, not so well in June. Who's maybe a player that surprised you with his performance here in the first half?
I think a couple. I'll start with Michael Harris. I mean, he's having an amazing year and probably should be an all-star. And he might still be if there's some roster spots that open. I mean, everybody knew that Michael Harris had the God-given abilities to be an outstanding baseball player. He's been a Rookie of the Year. He's got tremendous power and a great defender. But what he's done with the bat has been really, really impressive. And I kind of keep waiting for it to trail off. Maybe that's the cynical part of me, but it hasn't, man. The guy just keeps hitting big hits, big homers, and playing an outstanding center field. So that's been number one. And number 2, Mauricio Dubon. The Braves traded Nick Allen for Mauricio Dubon, a utility guy. Has had some good seasons, but what he's done for this ball club, playing center, left, third, short, clutch hitting 371 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position with a team high 23 RBIs. The guy has been fantastic. And outside of that, he is a joy in the clubhouse, a big time, team guy. Last week when the Braves were struggling, he brought in, he's burning some sage and lit a candle to keep evil spirits away. Like that sort of stuff sounds silly, right? But that's the type of guy he is, to try to turn this thing around and loosen the clubhouse a little bit. So that's been a huge surprise for Braves country and for this Braves team to see that guy come in and do what he's done.
On the other side on the mound, Chris Sale coming in, giving what I would expect the Braves were looking for him in terms of a veteran and leading the team in wins here.
He's been great. It's a marvel because the guy's 37 and he got that, contract extension right in spring training. And he joked every year he thinks he's going to retire, and then he just keeps getting these contract extensions. Right. I mean, dude's throwing 99-mile-an-hour fastballs the other day at 37 years old. I mean, his slider is pristine. And he just goes out there and gives you 5 to 7 innings of competitive baseball. I mean, even the other night didn't have his best stuff and kept the Braves in the game. It just again, another joy in the clubhouse, another team leader who's been around for a long time, super competitive, super hard on himself. And that just goes such a long way in a clubhouse full of pitchers who may be young, pitchers who may be in the middle of their career, to watch this guy go out and work. Been an outstanding pickup for the Braves once they got him a few years ago. 3 straight years as an all-star, 10 overall. Only Mike Trout has more as an active player at 12. So, yeah, wow. Been really fun to watch him pitch every 4, 5, 6 days.
Yeah, and what is it about Atlanta for him? The 3 seasons, all 3 under 3 ERA. For somebody you look through, and he didn't have those kind of numbers in Boston before that. But what's something about this pitching staff, the pitching the pitching coaches, something about Atlanta that really agrees with him.
There is something about Atlanta. I mean, I think maybe we all forget that Chris Sale's a Southern guy. He's from Florida and went to Florida Gulf Coast. And even though he spent a lot of his career in the Midwest and then the Northeast, maybe it's something about being back in the South. Maybe I should ask him a time. What is it about Atlanta and Truist Park? I mean, because you're right. I mean, when the Braves picked up Chris Sale, it was kind of like, all right, that's cool. He's had a great career, but really, what are they? And man, the guy just Cy Young winner, 3-time All-Star now, just been an outstanding, really cementing probably in a Hall of Fame career right at this point with these last 3 seasons, 2.5 seasons he's had. I just found the fountain of youth in Atlanta and Truist Park.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the hunt, probably won't get there, but he is shot at 20 wins, although again, it'll be kind of a long shot at this point. We talked about this NL East division, the Phillies coming on strong, the Marlins right now maybe ahead of schedule, if you will. Talk about this, what you're expecting, the final 2.5 months here of the season in that divisional race.
It's a lot more competitive than I thought it would be. You come out of spring training, and we're thinking Phillies probably 1, Mets probably 2, Braves maybe 3 or 2B, hunting for a playoff spot. Kind of flipped on its head, right? The Braves leading the division. We know the Phillies are going to be there. Unfortunately, the Mets are probably done for at this point. But hey, man, that Nationals team, what they do offensively, incredibly dangerous. Really, do they make the playoffs? Probably not. But with that offense, they're going to be a pain in the neck for everyone they play the last couple months. We knew the Marlins would be pesky, and props to them for playing really, really good baseball. And the way they have been playing, the way they played in June, put themselves in position to maybe make a run at a wild card spot. So I wouldn't count them out either. It's going to be a really, really good division down the stretch. Again, I thought maybe it was a 2-3 team race, and now there's at least 4, Phillies, Braves, Marlins, and Nationals. Again, maybe not to win the division, but to be in that playoff picture in August, if not midway through September. So it makes things really tough on the division leaders, but it also makes it fun from a fan perspective.
Absolutely. And nothing else, a very formidable thorn in the side, if you will, with those divisional front runners. Looking ahead to October, obviously the Dodgers are there, the 2-time defending champs. They're doing it again out there in the West. Can the Braves take them down in a 7-game series? Do you feel like this is a team that if they stay healthy and everyone in place, can take on the Dodgers and maybe unseat the king?
I think they need some reinforcements. The Braves went out to Los Angeles and took a series out there very early on, but the Dodgers weren't at full strength, and the Braves did not face Shohei Ohtani, and Braves were playing out of their minds really at that point. What the Dodgers have done since, right? They've kind of been going up, and the Braves have kind of been treading water a little bit. And I think everybody knows the Braves at this trade deadline need to add at least 1, if not 2, starting pitchers, maybe a bullpen arm, maybe another bat. To get to that level. I would think most people would agree this Braves team is not on par with what the Dodgers are. Doesn't mean the Braves can't beat them in a playoff series, but if they want to feel better about their chances, they probably need to add some pieces at this trade deadline moving forward to really make a run at this thing.
Yeah, and let me squeeze in one more question before I let you go. Health-wise, how close are the Braves to getting everyone back and healthy?
Very close. Ronald Acuna Jr. nursing a hamstring. It's not serious, but the Braves are being totally cautious with this because it's the second time this season it's happened. Same hamstring, same part of the muscle that was hurt. He'll probably be back after the All-Star break. Sean Murphy, broken finger. He should be back in July as well, if not early August. AJ Smith-Shawver, a pitcher, is on a rehab assignment, so he's getting close. Hurston Waldrop is already back. Spencer Schwellenbach should be starting a rehab assignment here in July. So again, lots of guys on the way. Some tough roster decisions coming up for this Braves team. But again, that's a lot of big-time names for this team. Could dictate sort of where they are in the division. What are they looking for in the trade market? Because, again, they have some guys coming back to this roster to help out. So, again, people forget that too. Like June was rough, but there was a lot of guys out, and there's a lot of guys coming back, and that should help this team again moving forward.
Should be a fun run down the stretch of the final 2 months. Fun to be a part of that, of course. Chad, listen, great to talk with you. We know you're a busy guy. Appreciate your time. Hopefully you have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, my friends. Thanks so much.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Chad Bishop, once again, joining us, talking about the Atlanta Braves, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Braves right now, again, struggling a bit in June, but they're still atop the division and the team to beat right now, and we'll be watching. All right, more to come. Stay with us.
I get a lot of calls from people across the country who are suffering from the affliction of IRS tax debt, and that's because I have a remedy. Hi, I'm the tax doctor, and if you're having any of these tax issues, call me right now. My team specializes in helping people over the age of 50 solve their tax problems, and the bigger your tax problem is, the more money you can save. If you owe the IRS money, or you're about to owe the IRS money, or even if you need to file years of unfiled returns, call us right now. Our friendly, highly trained representatives are waiting right now to take your call. Over the years, we've helped thousands of people just like you stop the tax liens, wage garnishments, and harassing phone calls. You don't need to send the IRS a big fat check. We can negotiate a lower amount. That's what we guarantee for you. So call us right now. Call 833-789-3068.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you test and inject daily, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-390-5160. 800-390-5160. 800-390-5160. That's 800-390-5160.
Let's continue now. The All-Star teams announced for Major League Baseball over the weekend for both the American and National Leagues. The Dodgers, Braves, and Phillies leading all NL teams with 5 All-Stars apiece. In the American League, the Yankees, Blue Jays, and Rays top the circuit with 4 selections. Now, as is always the case from these days, each of Major League Baseball's 30 teams has at least one All-Star representative. Now, while the Brewers' Jacob Misiorowski made the National League team and will be in Philadelphia, he will not be pitching in the Midsummer Classic. Misiorowski is scheduled to pitch on Sunday for the Brewers, and any starter who pitches on the Sunday before the game is automatically not eligible to participate. So disappointed for some fans, casual fans, not to get a chance to see this young man who's had just an amazing season already. But good for the Brewers, good for him that he stays on his rotation. Both Vlad Guerrero and Aaron Judge voted to enter the contest. Neither will be playing. Guerrero turned down the game because he is having one of his worst seasons in the majors in his entire career. And Judge is still sidelined with that rib injury. Among the surprises not making the team, Bryce Turang of the Brewers, the Milwaukee second baseman, leads all the non-all-star position players in WAR and is having a great year both in the field and at the bat. How about Zach Wheeler not getting a call for the game? Despite playing for the Phillies, where the contest is being played, Wheeler and his 8-1 record and 2.36 ERA will not be there. He'll be sitting at home. Really? With all the Braves at the game, how do they overlook Atlanta's Michael Harris, the center fielder hitting a robust 301 with 16 homers on the year? And while the Red Sox as a team, well, they're struggling, how did the American League not find room for Wilson Contreras? Boston's first baseman is hitting 285 with 19 homers and a 914 OPS. He should get the first call to replace Guerrero if the American League is smart. And how does Sonny Gray not make the AL pitching staff? The veteran has a sparkling 10-1 record on a team that is currently 8 games under 500 and a sparkling 2.61 ERA with 82 strikeouts in 89 innings pitched. Sonny Gray, keep that name in mind. Maybe he can be a replacement somewhere as injury, but how he's not one of the first ones out there really defies logic. But okay, there you go. A note from the world of swimming. Summer McIntosh breaking the longest standing individual women's swimming world record Sunday night, finishing the 200-meter butterfly in 2 minutes, 1.65 seconds. This at the Canadian trials. The 19-year-old McIntosh breaking the mark set back in 2009 during what's known as the super suit era. A three-time champion at the 2024 Paris Olympics, McIntosh slammed her fist into the air in celebration while smiling ear to ear as the crowd erupted inside the Olympic pool. The race Sunday was the first opportunity for many Canadian fans to see McIntosh compete since her high-profile move to train in Austin, Texas, under Bob Bowman, the coach who guided Michael Phelps to that record 23 Olympic gold medals. Over in England, a matchup of two of the hardest hitters on tour, Naomi Osaka outslugged top-ranked Aryna Sabalenka 6-2, 7-6 to reach the Wimbledon quarterfinals for the first time this on Sunday. Sabalenka had beaten Osaka in all three of their previous matches this year, including the same stage of the French Open last month. Osaka had never beaten a top 10 player at a non-hard court event, standing 0-13 in those matches, but she breaks through. This time, Sabalenka couldn't handle Osaka's pace and flat ground strokes and had an even bigger impact than usual as her balls kind of flew through the air faster on the warmest day of the tournament so far, the temp during the match reaching 82 degrees Fahrenheit. It was Osaka's first win over a number one player since beating Ash Barty in Beijing way back in 2019. That was before Osaka, a former number one herself, took breaks from the tour to manage her mental health in 2021 and for maternity leave that resulted in her missing all of 2023. Congratulations to Naomi Osaka still going for that championship there at Wimbledon. Okay, stay with us. We're going to talk a little Lakers, a little LeBron, all that and more. Coming up next on the Sports IQ. As we continue here, we're, of course, the big blockbuster last week. 2 weeks ago, it was the NFL or the NBA draft. Last week, free agency enters and then begins. Of course, the big story, LeBron James saying, yeah, I'm going to go play elsewhere after 8 seasons with the Lakers. So joining us right now, back on the show, good to have him here. Ben Royer, he's the Lakers beat writer for the Orange County Register. Ben, good to see you again. Hopefully you had a good fourth. The LeBron thing. I mean, this was something that was whispered about, I guess, for months. I mean, I guess not a total surprise that he would do this, but talk to us about kind of behind the scenes and when you think it was a done deal.
It was interesting. It's like, from my understanding, it was pretty much close to radio silence from LeBron and Lakers camp throughout that exclusive negotiating period. There was likely a early reach out right as it began. And then from there, it was kind of just sitting and waiting. But to be fair, I think with LeBron, he's a different style of player regardless. I think he's always one to kind of do things on his own schedule. I think it says a lot that, the day that free agency opens is the day that LeBron decides to make a decision. I think there's everything has a calculated and PR an element to it. I think no matter if you're a small athlete or a big athlete, you want to do it when the moment strikes the loudest. Last time I think I spoke to you guys, I had to field the question of, do I think LeBron's returning? And the thing is he was having so much fun playing basketball. It was hard to see him not return. Yeah. I think a little bit of me was surprised that it wasn't going to be with the Lakers again, especially now that it seems like he's willing to take close to the veterans minimum, or if the veterans minimum to play elsewhere. The Lakers had upwards of $30 million to give him. So it is a different world for LeBron James. And it's a really different world for the Lakers now, because I think now they have to realize that Luka Dončić is that future. You don't have to worry about the LeBron equation of it all anymore. And how do you best win with Luka Dončić as the head of the snake?
Yeah, I want to get to Luka and kind of some of the moves they made coming up. It was interesting. I saw some people say, well, LeBron waited until Bronny's contract was guaranteed. That'll always be, unfortunately, an asterisk to Bronny James's career is how it started. Where do you think that LeBron fits best right now as the market is right now, as we're talking here in the Monday after the 4th?
It's funny. I think a lot of people want to see him back in Cleveland just as a kind of storybook ending. But then you look at Cleveland's roster, and I don't know about you guys. I don't know if James Harden and LeBron James could play on the same team. My brain does not comprehend that whatsoever. So I think like fit wise, I think him in Golden State would be a lot of fun. I think Steve Kerr would relish the chance to coach someone like LeBron James for a full season. Steve Kerr loves high IQ basketball guys, and for better or worse, I think LeBron gets a bad rap his entire career. LeBron James is still a top 20 basketball player in the NBA. He doesn't have the speed he once had. He doesn't have the physicality he once had. He doesn't have the full-time dominance he once had, but his basketball IQ is still off the charts. And a team with him, Steph Curry and Draymond, they might be the retirement home of basketball, but I think they still have the smarts to riddle off a few wins. And I don't know if I want to face them in the playoffs.
I almost think of like if this happens, like they're like the movie version of the OGs, right? Out at the park, and like they're the old cats that you just can't beat. They just find a way to beat you. They're like 60, but they still outplay you. That's kind of those guys. I think too, it speaks to LeBron and his different mindset that LeBron has almost always, except for a couple of years with AD, had to be the highest paid guy. And he always had to be the veteran guy. I mean, he hasn't played for a veteran coach since his second season. The Cavaliers, I mean, I'm long of the tooth. I remember when this happened, the Cavaliers hired Paul Silas, the veteran former forward and similar size, and hired him as to be the coach. And he was fired in his second season. LeBron has always played for somebody with not a lot of experience. I think what it says to me a lot that if he's willing to take less money and willing to go play for a veteran coach like Steve Kerr, that he really is trying to get one more ring here in these last couple of years of his career.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it could be one more year, it could be 2 more years, it could be 3 more years. I mean, LeBron has never one to really tell you. Again, he was asked so many different times, like, am I ready to, is this it? And every single time he was dismissive about it. I mean, I think the guy loves playing basketball. I think there is an interesting, side to this. I think he's made it very clear that his young daughter, he'd like to be around her volleyball games more. I think that's something that is important. I think on Father's Day, he posted a photo of his daughter Zuri's Father's Day card, and in the message it basically said, "I can't wait for you to be able to watch all my games like I watch yours." Like I think that is something that's really important to LeBron James. So part of me thinks Golden State's maybe that place just because it's on the West Coast and it's easier to go up and down from, and that's why also Akron in Cleveland is such an easy place to see because that's where family is too. So I think there's just a lot of opportunity there. Either way, I think LeBron has a chokehold on the storyline of the free agency this year, the trades that are going to happen. Today I'm speaking to you guys on Monday, but the moratorium drops and all these trades and free agency deals can become official. I bet some of those trades and free agency deals stay unofficial because teams are waiting to see what LeBron does so they can see what they can do with money. So it's an interesting moment to the NBA as always when LeBron James is available to everyone.
Yeah. We haven't had this here in a while, so we'll see what happens. It's true. He's one of the guys, and again, he makes a difference in your locker room. May not be the player he was 5 years ago. We agree that. I think he would accept that. But is he an impact player? Absolutely. Who would come in and change your fortunes immediately. Okay, so the Lakers move on for 8 years with LeBron. And then come the big moves. I think the shocker for a lot of us was not so much you trade for Walker Kessler, it's what you gave up for Walker Kessler to bring him in.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising to me in the way of Rob Pelinka has always been one to be willing to give up draft capital. I think what was so shocking for people is they see what you give up for Walker Kessler and you can't get other people. What at the trade deadline last year, is that something that other teams were not interested in? If you have these, if you're willing to part ways with a lot of different things, and I think for some it reeked of a little bit of desperation of we need to get a big center right now. But I also think it was something the Lakers really did want to do. Walker Kessler has a lot of question marks attached to him. I mean, he didn't play almost all last year. He's hardly played more than 70 games in seasons. And it goes, oh, well, is this someone who you're willing to give up that many picks for? But when he is on the court, the dominance offensive rebound wise, the dominance blocks wise, his post presence, he's a lob threat, which Luka Dončić direly needed attached to this upcoming season's roster. I think there's just a lot to say about what Walker Kessler brings into the team. Not surprising to me that the Lakers were willing to give up picks in 31 and 33 and then a few swaps as well. It's not surprising to me. They did make another trade when they swapped DeAndre Ayton for Jaden Hardy and 2 second rounders. So those 2 second rounders could be something. Now you've replenished the cupboard a little bit, but we'll see what happens. I'm not surprised by it. I think it's something that the Lakers did need to do if they wanted to compete.
Is getting rid of Ayton, is that kind of where that was an experiment, right? I mean, he underachieved to start a career considering the lofty expectations for him. Is that just as simply saying, you know what, we don't think he's the player, we don't think he's gonna be the player that we thought he's going to be, and so therefore time to move on? Is it that, or more in terms of just shifting money around, or why did they give up on Ayton?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think part of it is I think DeAndre Ayton, it took very long time, and I think he would admit this himself. He said as much as his exit interview with us at the end of the season, that he was proud of himself for the amount of sacrifice he had to realize he had to become a different player than he was used to. I mean, he's the former number 1 pick of the NBA. You know, it's like he was used to being the star in Phoenix. He was used to being a sort of star in Portland. And now you get to the Lakers and you're like, they want me to be the 5th guy on the court, and I have to be comfortable with that. And it took a long time for DeAndre to be comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the $8.1 million contract value attached to the output that he was giving the Lakers might have been one of the best deals in the NBA last year, because how cheap you were getting a center of his quality. And that, I think now the Wizards are looking at it like, hey, he's going to cover some injuries early in the season for the Wizards this upcoming year. But I don't know, if you're getting 25 minutes a game from DeAndre Ayton for $8 million, if I'm every team in the NBA, let's ignore the rest of who DeAndre Ayton is and can you get full buy-in from him? Yeah. I think I want him on my team. But the flexibility of trading him gives the Lakers another two or so million to deal with. And who knows what they have up their sleeve going forward.
Talking with Ben Royer, he's a Lakers beat writer for the Orange County Register. So the big question again is that clearly it's now Luka's team. They re-sign Austin Reeves, or that's the deal on the table right there. Who plays defense outside of Walker Kessler on this Laker team?
Larry, that's a really great question. I'm wondering this myself as we speak. I think they're going to ask Quentin Grimes to do a lot of defensive stuff. Early in Quentin Grimes' career, he was seen as a fairly good 3-and-D perimeter defender. He could do it well, and then kind of took the gas off the pedal a little bit and became more of an offensive option. I think it's funny, JJ Redick early in the season, he's like, I got to find this last year. He's like, I got to find guys that play defense. And they eventually did find guys that played defense, and they ended up being a pretty good defensive team for the second half of the season. And now you've got a question of who's going to play defense again. I think Luka gets a bad rap for the defensive defender he can be when he wants to be. But do I want him defending the likes of SGA? Do I want him defending the likes of Anthony Edwards? I don't know if I do. I think I'd rather have a guy who's meant for playing defense. I think they're going to end up making another free agent acquisition or trade to do this. I think someone that I personally would be interested to see in this Lakers fold is someone like Matisse Thybulle or Jonathan Kuminga. I think Kuminga is currently out of their budget, and I think that would be the biggest problem with Kuminga bringing him in. But if they really do want him, you can do it. You just have to work hard and make it happen. But right now, they just don't have a player meant for defense. And I think there's just going to be a lot of help, which is going to cause a lot of problems when, in the NBA, if you're left open for a three, you better make it because you're supposed to. And I think there'll be a lot of that happening if the Lakers don't figure out a game plan for getting a perimeter on a priority defender on the court.
Yeah. A quick aside, help me out with the pronunciation, because I botched it all through his college career, and I botched it again last week. His first name is Sandro. His last name is,
I believe it's Mamukhalashvili.
Okay, there we go. I'm gonna practice that and get good at that by the time the season's here, because I'll be talking about it, I'm sure.
Hey, I'm lucky he goes by Mamu. I'll say that.
Well, I'll just take that. So, and I'm a guy that covered, Georgia, Bishenishvili, right, with Illinois, and so very similar name. Rob Pelinka is somebody that will be a lightning rod here, depending on what happens here this offseason. Look, it's new management now, new ownership with the Lakers. How hot is his seat right now if he doesn't get this right this year, or because it was LeBron, does he have a couple years to play with before things kind of get dicey?
I think I haven't gotten any pulse that things are necessarily hot, but what I'll say is that the Lakers have been unafraid since the ownership changed to make a lot of changes. There were company layoffs. People that are not making basketball decisions laid off. Like this is like a refresh of a lot of different departments. Lon Rosen came over to become president of business operations, replacing Tim Harris, who was with the Lakers forever. And Lon Rosen is the Dodgers guy. And he was Magic Johnson's agent once upon a time. And he has a great pulse on what's going on with the Lakers, but he's also a very business-minded individual and very good at his job. I think all these things go hand in hand with we're trying to make as much as we can with what we have instead of kind of the old mom and pop's Lakers vibes of the last forever. And I think there's just a different reality with what the Lakers are going to be now. I think this is a little bit of make or break for Rob Pelinka in the way of this is your chance to show you can compete with the Thunder and the Spurs. And I think if things don't go as well, there's the equation of Luka can decide what he wants to do with the player option upcoming soon. And it's like, you need to win now so you're not risking losing your North Star going forward. It's one thing to say Austin Reeves is a max contract, and I think he's very deserving of this max contract, by the way. I think you do not let him go to Detroit, who is willing to pay the money. I think you needed to keep Austin Reeves. But Austin Reeves is not a max contract in the way of Luka Dončić wins you basketball games by himself, max contract. Austin Reeves is a great two-piece and will do very well besides Luka Dončić, but he's not winning you games the way Luka can. So I think it's important that you keep Luka happy, and I think that's Rob's biggest job right now. And I think this offseason he did that. I think he got young, explosive players. I think it says a lot about this. The two oldest guys on the Lakers right now are Luka Dončić and Austin Reeves. I mean, they're still seen in many ways as the babies in NBA, and they're two of the oldest guys on the team. And Austin is the oldest, so I think this kind of says a lot about where the Lakers are headed right now. And I think that's Rob Pelinka saying, "Hey, I need to figure out a way to keep my stars happy as well."
Yeah, no LeBron there, but Kessler's part of that, right? I mean, yes. Luka, I know reading what you've said and others, he wanted to get a center he can play the pick and roll with, and Walker fits that bill. So, but yeah, exciting times right now. How do you reshape this franchise? That's one of the most storied in all of sports. And so, it's up to Rob, and we'll be watching it. You have a better seat than I do, my friend, and so we're envious of that, but we appreciate your time as always. Make this a great summer, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks, Larry. Anytime. I'm more than happy to talk Lakers hoops.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. Ben Royer joining us. So once again, Lakers beat writer for the Orange County Register. And again, let's see what moves are still to come out there in LA. All right, more to come here after this.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices on airline tickets are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts with over 500 different airlines, plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. The only way to learn more is make a free call. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next trip. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next trip.
Welcome back here to the show. Again, the big match of the day we're all waiting for, 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight. It is USA versus Belgium, round of 16. The winner gets to the quarterfinals. Producer Tony, now, we were talking, and you and I, it's funny, reading a quote from CNN Sports, an organization we both worked for many, many, many years back in the day. So we know kind of how this thing goes, right? How the conversation would go and working with that, with our desk and with those officials. With you, I know, without even asking you, I was stunned when I saw this decision because if there's one organization that just does not bend the rules, it's FIFA, it's soccer. And I understand that UEFA and some of the other organizations having an issue with this.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of surprising the way they did it. But Larry, I've talked to a couple of people since that ruling came out, a couple of them with ties, who have followed soccer for their lives. My brother-in-law is from England. Talked to him a little bit. He's done some stuff with soccer. And, he just says we talked, and FIFA is not the most above board organization. Like the IOC has had its share of issues throughout the years.
Yeah.
FIFA's had its share of issues. Basically, one thing about FIFA that I've learned just in reading and watching is if there's enough prestige or money on the line, they'll bend any way the wind blows.
Okay.
So I think it's more which way. Let me put my finger up to the air. Let me lick my finger, put it up in the air. Which way is the wind blowing? That's where we're going. That's how we're going to do this.
Let me take back my statement then, because as an outsider, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that works. But yeah. And here's the thing: this could be all mute by the time this airs in some of our markets, which some air later on in the day. There could be a decision later, but again, one of these that you're asked to appeal and have a deadline for a ruling you haven't received yet. That's something else that's just.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a tight turn because the match is tonight, so you don't have a lot of time to play. It's not like you can say, okay, let's postpone this match till Wednesday. That ain't happening, right? We both know that. So you've got to get it done. You've got to make a decision. You got to go. But to do this at such a late date when your rules have been such that, I've read things about some other red cards that they thought weren't good, or people got a yellow card that should have been a red card. And again, that's all at an official's discretion. But once the official's discretion is labeled and out there, then it should be the end of it. But, in these days of replay and taking a look, and we'll slow it down to the minutest details, maybe FIFA found something. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, I guess, for now, at least, that maybe they found something in looking at that video that said, well, maybe this shouldn't have been a red card. I know the American coach and the player and Balogun said afterwards, like, I thought it might have been a yellow card. I was kind of surprised at getting the red card. But hey, either way, it's not a good look, especially with the match being here in the U.S. If you're Belgium, you're like, wait, talk about home cooking. It's bad enough we got to play in your arena.
Right.
Now this too? Come on.
Right. Exactly. Well, American fans everywhere were excited about this. If he does get to play. Again, that match is 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight in Seattle against Belgium. Major League Baseball All-Star game coming up here next week, just a week from tomorrow. Like we said at the beginning, kind of some of the selections were surprising to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I know everybody wanted to see Jacob Mizrachi. I get it why he's not going to be there. Good for the Brewers, just keeping him on his regular rotation. But one thing, and we've talked about this before, I'm a huge Paul Skeens fan. I think the kid is a phenomenal talent.
Mm-hmm.
He has struggled hard since May. His record is right now 8-6. He hasn't won in his last 9 decisions. Mm-hmm. His ERA is approaching 3.5, which for him is like a regular pitcher approaching a 5 ERA. That's how good he's been.
Right.
And I understand you want to include all of the biggest names in these all-star festivities. However, was Paul Skeens deserving of this one right now? Probably not.
Yeah.
While you leave a pitcher like Zach Wheeler, who was hurt in the beginning part of the year, but came back from that injury and has just been stellar. He's been dominant right now. So maybe somebody else will slide out of one of those pitching spots and Wheeler will get to come in, or Wheeler might get Mizrachi's spot on the roster because Mizrachi can't pitch in the game. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But that was the one that kind of stuck me as most. The other ones you mentioned, I think they all should be there. They all deserve to be there. I think Contreras will get there because of what's going to happen with Vlad Guerrero.
Yeah, that makes sense too. And good for Vlad saying, you know what, I'm not playing on an all-star level, so I'm not gonna play in this.
Give him credit, like standing up and going, look, I'm not having the year that deserves all-star consideration. I'm gonna go home. I need some rest to figure out what I'm doing for my team. Y'all have a good time.
Exactly. Again, that comes up next week in Philadelphia, a week from Tuesday. Of course, festivities are a week from tonight in terms of home run contest and all the festivities. It's really become a big deal. I really love the way baseball has done that. It made it more just a one-night thing, more of a festivity and a celebration of the game overall. Hey, that will do it for us. Thanks again to our guest stopping by. Chad Bishop, also Ben Royer. We appreciate you. It's a great Monday, start of the week. Let's make it happen. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the SportsIQ.
Thanks for listening to SportsIQ with Larry Smith, Monday through Friday. Continue the conversation at SportsIQ LS. We'll see you next time.